definitely. After the lunch, it's become very difficult to keep the engage the audience as well as the Mr. Responsibility of the panelist also increases. So how to engage and keep them interacting. So begin with the initially Mr. Praveen has also started the discussion from that session is based on the drone in agrochemicals. A lot of efforts have been done by the government, the policies has been made, and like we see the revolution, so it's a different kind of revolution is being coming, and adoption of the technology, mechanization with the IT is coming, and the CropLife India was also been advocating the adoption and has been advising and giving the norms and the guidelines for agrochemicals into that one. So we have our panelists means from the industry, from the government also, and the associations like Drone Federation of India, Mr. Smith Shah is also there, Dr. Jitendra Kumar is there. So we have been discussing on the how the adoption is taking. Before we start, just I will request each of the panelist member to introduce in 1 minute about their organization and themselves also, please.
Thank you so much for having us over. My name is Smith Shah. I'm the president at Drone Federation of India. We represent about 200 companies in the sector and actively work with the government and various departments under the government to advocate the use of drones. Also been working on the recent policy reforms that are there in the sector and looking forward to a fruitful discussion on the topic today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Myself, Dr. V.N. Kale, Additional Commissioner in Department of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. I am looking after basically the mechanization activities of Ministry of Agriculture. All the schemes which have been implemented through the state government have been looking after by me. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Sanjeev Kashyap and I am representing the industry from General Aeronautics. Since morning I'm here, I'm trying to grasp the information related to agrochemical industry and see that where we can collaborate. I heard a buzzword talking about China plus one. I think coming from a startup, I would aim at why China, why not India alone can be part of this journey to contribute to CAGR growth of agrochemical companies, along with making a very good footprints which we can create in terms of efficacy, MRLs, and increasing operational efficiency on the ground. And corresponding to that, being Indian technologist company, we can also look at possibly footprints, how we can reduce the footprints over a period of time. I like to emphasize my discussions around these topics. So thank you for having me here. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. I am Dr. Jitendra Kumar, Director, Institute of Pesticide Formulation Technology. I heard that our Honorable Secretary has already highlighted about the activities of the IPFT in details. So I will be just directly participating in the discussion. And what is the role of the agrochemical formulation? And as the previous speaker, I do agree with him, the R&D investment in particular is basically the requirement that the business, not only for the 6 billion, it can go further and manifold. The certain regions I will be discussing during this discussion. Thank you.
Good afternoon all. Thank you Mr. Praveen and thank you Mr. Durgesh for having me here. My name is Suraj. I represent IoTech World Aviation Private Limited. I am leading strategy in the organization. So IoTech is basically into agriculture drones. So IoTech was the first company to have TC of the drone. TC is the type certificate. What I feel about the drones in agriculture sector is the first green revolution came in 1960s, right? When the seeds from the US were imported to India, hybrid seeds were imported. Now it is the time to bring the second green revolution in India, and that can happen through agriculture drones. Spraying of agrochemical is one of the application. There are many other applications as well into agriculture. So if drone startups, investors, DFI, and regulators, agrochemical companies, and many other kind of peoples and companies can come together, and this fraternity has the potential to bring the second green revolution in India. Thank you.
Thank you all. To begin with, definitely, since agrochemicals is also been discussed, and there is lot of potential of using this with efficiently with the drone also. So I will ask Dr. Jiten Kumar, how will it affect the farmers in the efficacy of the uses of the formulations and the agrochemicals and the crop protection, and whether the government with the mission is going on doubling the farmers' income. So will it really impact the farmers' income?
Definitely, the application of the drone, considering the advantage of the drone applications in the developed countries, and in India also, the drone has a lot of advantages. Therefore, the CIB has given the approval for 479 pesticide formulations, which can be used through this. And this not only it will reduce the load of the pesticide to the environment, but also safety to the operator, which the farmers are directly handling. Another point will be there, since the CIB had given the 2 years time for the data generation. I am having certain apprehensions basically for the whether the present formulation what the Indian industries are nowadays using. I had in the public domain, I had just made our own study that even the leading companies of the India, not more than 30 to 40% of the pesticide formulation are new generation pesticide formulation. The most of the industries are sticking to the old formulation, wettable powder, wettable granules, and even the dust still, and the EC. Whereas the one of the reason the previous speaker was highlighting why this difference in this. If you see the developed countries, they are using the advanced new generation pesticide formulation. So the industry has to shift towards the new generation pesticide formulation. The reason being the particle size. If you are using the wettable powder and all those things, I think that it will not be workable with the drone, because that can periodically choke the nozzle and many other disadvantages may be there. Only the formulation, existing formulation, what the industries is having, that is the emulsifiable concentrate. It is having the own disadvantages, because in most of the developed countries, these are discontinued basically. Although it is very cheap to prepare and handy, and for the small formulators are engaged, MSME are there with respect to development. The EC is the only alternative now with us, and other product like we should shift from the EC, the phytotoxic. That may be the one consideration that it can harm the sidewise crop also. So we have to shift, for the new generation pesticide formulation like micro emulsion, ZC formulation, suspo emulsion, CS formulations like that. So the technology is already there in the country. And our institute is also engaged and transferring many of the technologies to the industry, whosoever is approaching in the public-private partnership mode. So we develop the products, give the technology to the industry. Another consideration will be, because I had seen the demonstration and we had also purchased the drone for the various applications and developing the formulations. And this requires a lot of data generation, because while simply making a just phytotoxic effect will not serve the purpose, because actual study has to be done in a more basic or more strategic, very scientific way. How it can be done? You have to add, the color into the spray and then see the drift where it goes, and it should be studied with respect to the electron microscope, the high advanced technology. So our institute is also taking up this type of the study. Another point is that because what you call the fan of the drone, it make a thrust, and the formulation, I doubt that how you can monitor or plan the program in the drone, that because most of sometimes the pests are down the leaf. So how this can be applied? The farmers apply when the hand spray with the knapsack sprayer from the downside, but how this can be basically done? And the contact insecticide particularly, the systemic, if pesticide can be delivered and can be sprayed by the drone perfectly, wherever it will fall, it will systematically go to the target. But if the contact insecticides or contact pesticides are there, then you have to have the specific consideration. If it is not directly going to the plant, to the target, then this will go to the environment or further increase the environmental load and so on and so forth. Thank you. I can add further if the time permits.
Thank you, Dr. Jitendra. Definitely, you have raised a valid point. Means it's being in the discussion in the morning also. Introduction of the new molecules, and the industry has already been requesting and advocating the same thing, that the industry should be allowed to add more and more molecules, and the process of the regulation should be there. There should be a ease of doing business kind of thing, and definitely for providing the best molecules to the farmers with the best molecules. Coming to the Mr. Dr. Vijay Kale, sir, when we talk about the ease of doing business, whether the regulations are being done to promote the industry in that perspective, so that we are moving towards the adoption and the affordability kind of thing of the drones.
Thank you, Chemical News, for inviting me on this occasion to highlight Government of India's initiatives in the direction of drone technology. Actually, in fact, this drone is going to be a very precision tool for the farmers, for the agriculture. And in fact, this is going to be bring a big revolution in agriculture, what we have been considering, because there are n number of advantage of this drone technology. One of the most important aspect is that actually we can save a lot of inputs. Then we can also reduce the drudgery of the human which have been involved in this pesticide application. So all these advantages are there. Moreover, the thing is that actually the time saving is also one of the factor that this drone technology is going to be more advantageous. So that's why Government of India has taken a lot of initiatives in this direction. And you know that Government of India has already formulated that means SOPs for this and how these drones are to be used. Then second thing is that now Government of India has already been that means formulating the SOPs for crop-wise drone application, pesticide application. That is also been just now. It will be in most probably next month. We are going to plan to release all these guidelines. So that will be very much benefited to the farmers. Moreover, actually, without demonstration of this technology, because the awareness will not be created amongst the farmers. So that's why we have a specified program by the Government of India that we are giving 100% this subsidy assistance to all these central institutes, SAUs, KVKs, and all our FMTTIs. Apart from that one, we are also giving that contingency expenditure about 3,000 rupees per hectare. And these are all for the government institutions, but for FPOs also we have been going to give 75% subsidy for the drone purchase, as well as 3,000 rupees for the technology demonstration. What I would like to urge here, all these pesticide manufacturing industries, that actually you have a very big, vast network at the ground level. So actually, we are not been able to penetrate into the actually the village level, that how to promote this drone technology. The government institutions, we have been giving all this assistance, but if you catering actually the FPOs, you have been cash holding this FPOs, hand holding to these FPOs and guiding them, that let them approach to the Government of India for demonstration. And we have been giving a lot of, there is no dearth of fund at all available, and government is very much keen for this to demonstration of this technology. So far, more than 124 crore rupees already been released by government to the farmers, to the state government, to further to demonstrate and to release to the farmer. So second is what we have been asked, that about the ease of doing business, as well as to ease of that means guidelines. What have been earlier with the initiatives of our government, our secretary, as well as the Drone Federation of India, We had a big dialogue with Amusel, and we have very much, that means liberalized policy, and earlier it was a hurdle, big hurdle, that without you are having the RPTO, that means you are having the remote pilot license, you can't purchase the drone. Now that condition, Government of India has already been relaxed, that one. So any farmer, any of the organization without any RPTO, it can be purchased the drone. So second thing, one of the biggest hurdle what we have been that means encountering is that actually there are 44 RPTOs been designed by these, declared by the Government of India. DGCA, but basically that they have been imparting the training for how to operate this drone, but not for the agriculture purpose, how it can be used as an agriculture purpose. So that is one of the biggest hurdles. Now we have already been instructed to these RPTOs that they may also impart some of the portion of training on agriculture. And second thing is the cost of that means training is also very high. It will not be affordable to a common farmers. So that's why Government of India has already initiated that. We are having 4 farm machinery training and testing institute across the country. And we have been already declaring this FMTTs as RPTOs, and there the cost of training will be very, very reasonable, so that every common farmer, anybody can go there and take the training. So that initiatives we have been going to take up, and there it will be complete training program basically on the drone technology. That we have been already going to take it. Then a skilled manpower, so that unless and until we enhance our skilled manpower in the country, it will not be workable. So that's why we have been already working on that one direction. Then lack of research data is not been available basically. That basically to recommend many of the molecules for pesticide application. So that's why we requested to all this pesticide industry that give the data for us, so that we can recommend it, we can include into our this one. So anyhow, these are some of the points which I would like to just highlight. Anyhow, if time permits, definitely again I would like to hire something. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vijay Kumar. Most of the companies are already collaborating with at the state level with the concerned authorities for demonstration on the uses of drones. But if they at the center level, the ministry wants, definitely we would be more than happy to collaborate and bring all the other stakeholders for the dissemination of this information or this technology up to the farmers level. Mr. Smith, I would like to ask you, since you are representing the industry, would be advocating and interacting with the government offices for the favorable policy support for the best adoption of this technology at the farmers level. How do you see the government's initiative in the adoption of this technology, first point? Then in perspective of the Make in India is also there, making the Atmanirbhar Bharat and this new technology. So in that perspective, how do you see the current reform and the current policy atmosphere?
So when we talk about drone technology, the first journey actually started in 2014 when government brought about a blanket ban on use of drones. So that was the first attempt. 2018 and March of 2021 were multiple attempts for policy and regulating the operations of drones and import and manufacturing and all of those aspects. But after a lot of stakeholder consultation, mostly from the industry side and the academia side, we all made a lot of presentations and a lot of representations to the government. I think the representations, stakeholder consultations, and a few important notable events across the world, especially the Azerbaijan-Armenia war, the conflict that happened, have actually put drone in a new perspective, which is the perspective of adopting this for the strategic and the economic advantage of the country. So it is but obvious that if you have drones that can sort of act as a deterrent for our neighbors, which sort of, trouble us sometimes, it is in our interest. It is important and very notable to understand that if Kisan drones can bring about a revolution in the, life of a farmer, where he does not need to, sort of wear that kit and go into the field and spray pesticides manually. Of course, there may be challenges around spraying the pesticides via drones, but definitely it is not going to affect the health of the farmer. So if you can, remove that aspect from the ground level and make it easy, it is a no-brainer, as a technology. And there have been global precedences across the world where China and other countries have already adopted drones in a mass sort of format. So it's not that maybe we will be trying this technology for the first time and maybe we will be the first ones who will understand the pitfalls for it and maybe we may have issues. So all this was put into the right perspective. And after that, of course, we had 4 different types of reforms, as I would like to call it. In August of 21, government came up with a new policy for operating drones. That was the ease of doing business. Under this, almost all the licenses were removed, and probably the Indian drone regulations are now one of the most liberal ones across the globe. Many global references and global experts have touted this as well. So that was ease of doing business. Second was financial incentive, where government has come up with a production-linked incentive scheme. I saw the previous speaker also mentioning about a PLI scheme for agrochemical. So the drones PLI scheme is already there, whether you are making a drone or a drone component. And then the second financial incentive is the subsidy scheme, which Dr. Kale also mentioned. So that was the second vertical, second policy reform. The third one was that it is very clear that India has to develop technology indigenously, own the intellectual property, and not just look at technology transfer or import of certain parts constantly, which is why there is a blanket ban on import of drones. So a lot of people who keep saying that there is a X drone available in a X country, which is one of our neighbors, and it is available at a very cheap cost and all of that, which is okay. Legally bringing that drone in the country is not allowed, and that is designed from a perspective that we are not looking at India becoming a services economy or a user of the technology, but it is more about owning the technology, then using it and exporting it. So there is a scope for us to become a intellectual property leader and a technology leader more in terms of the design and development of this technology, and then the gradual export, which is why there is an import ban on the completely built unit, semi-knockdown kit and completely knockdown kits. So in no form can you bring a drone from outside and then just brainlessly use it without understanding the technology. That's the purpose. You can collaborate with a foreign country and all of that. And the fourth reform, which is the most important reform, is government is acting as the largest market maker and the largest customer. There are, Ministry of Agriculture, sir mentioned over 120 crores already given out as incentive and as subsidy to various states and government institutions for adopting drones. Similarly, there are more than 10 departments that have come up with large schemes who are adopting drones. So those are the reforms, all of it which happened in less than 6 months of time. So it's a very planned thought process rather than a knee-jerk action that has happened in the drone ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Definitely means you have supported and it's a good thing that the government is already going in that direction, the ease of doing business, and a lot of liberalized. And you mentioned that the Indians norms are amongst the best liberalized means in terms of the drones industry. Thank you. So, Mr. Sanjeev Kashyap, what's your views? And now, since the time is less, we will be more focusing upon how the technology can be adopted from the agrochemicals and it can help the farmers. From that perspective, means what are the your recommendations or your views?
Sure. I think wherever the new technology is shaping up and taking its own place in the society, there are a lot of myths are around it also. Now, one of the myths has been put forward by our eminent panelist, that whether the agrochemical will be able to reach the last leaf in the vertical crop or not. The technology supports here, because this is a myth that has to be countered. Once the drone is flying and we are using a kind of atomizer nozzle, there is not only the drone blades or propellers or prop wash, what we talk in technical terms, comes into an action. It is a combination of two. So once there is an atomizer type of a nozzle which can give you a droplet size from 100 to 500 microns, and Asabi has already given those kind of guidelines for various agrochemicals, that which agrochemical should be used for which kind of droplet size. So I'll not get into more details. But just touching the topic, there is another myth for a farmer is that for a manual spray, they were using around 200 liters of water. And how can a drone can do 1 hectare in one tank fill of 16 liter, or maybe lesser for 1 acre kind of thing. So this is another myth which is prevailing. So now a couple of things we can address from a technology framework, which is of course putting up right set of nozzles with the right set of propellers, and that can be one driving force. At the same time, agrochemical companies can handhold this technology, and since their last mile reach is much better than as a startup we have, or maybe even for that matter, even the agriculture ministry has that kind of reach on the grassroots level, where the education can be done on the various fronts, whereby all this technology things can reach a farmer in a very simplistic manner. See, farmer is not a kind of a person support technological jargons. For him, something has to spray, and something has to give him a proper yield. Now, just to give you some sort of data points, if somebody is interested, we have done around 20,000 acres of trials with agrochemical companies, and I am glad to see half of those names which are written on the sponsorship list are our customers as such today. Now, why they are our customers, why they are doing pilots projects, is basically actually trying to reach the farmer, to not giving him a PowerPoint, but to give him a proof point over there. Now, when the farmer is going to see that in 1 acre, where he has given permission for flying drone and do the agrochemical spray over there, on the rest of the field, he can compare the crop yield. So that is a proof point for him. He does not look at how the drone is reaching to him, whether it is coming through a service, and tomorrow once he is the buyer of the technology, can he afford the drone or not. So these are few things which are which we can address. The another important element is on technology side. Since my topic has been given on technology framework, I'm fairly advocate of having a technology which brings change to the consumer who is going to use that technology. Now, if today our farmer is willing to pay around 200 or 300 or 400 rupees per acre kind of agrochemical spray as services, imagine the battery cost which is used by drones, or even the fuel cost which is going into drones, is actually accumulating between 100 to 200 per acre. Now, today, with the innovation and technology, I'm proud to say that my company is able to make it to 40 rupees an acre today. And we are working on a technology which will bring it to single digit, so that it becomes an affordable technology for the farmer. Now, I'm not making any technological announcements here, and I think we have to look at it from a proof point of view. All these things are existing in market. The only thing is you need to have courage to go there and do that. Otherwise, you can import some components from China and you can make a drone and get into the commercial aspect. I think the farmer acknowledges a lot of things. And I have, people, my colleagues from industry, they will also vouch for it. The farmer understands the language. Now, how does the farmer will understand the language? There is no need of putting a pigment into an agrochemical product and increase the cost of production for an agrochemical product. The moment there is a spray is done by drone, anybody can go inside there and take a picture of the leaf. The droplets are visible, which is 100 microns and all, on the top side. And with the prop wash, these droplets are on the back of the leaf also. Now, whether the leaf is of a chili leaf, which is a small leaf, or it is a leaf of a mustard, which is a bigger leaf, the droplet is available on the both sides of the leaf, and it kills the disease and the bugs which are on the both sides of the leaf. This is what a technology can bring, and this is what farmer needs, that he need not to fly drone twice. He can fly it once, and in single prop wash, the drone can spray top and bottom of the complete plant. That is where the operational efficiency will come. That is where the cost of production will go down. I have more points on technology. Just in case time permits, I will pounce upon.
Thank you, Mr. Sanjeev. Definitely clearing out some of the issues like Dr. Rajendra has said, that they are the molecules or the agrochemicals which can't be used since the dust. So I would like to ask means since you would be interacting with the industry people also manufacturing the drones. So is it right that we are not means that currently drones available can't be used with the existing agrochemicals available in the market, or means you have the better means just for the clarifications of the audience also we want to understand, like Dr. Jitendra has raised. There are the old molecules, old agrochemicals are present which can't be compatible for using these drones. So what's your views, just for the clarification of the audience, please?
Okay. So, frankly, I would say nobody in India has the complete results of it. So ad hoc approval of 477 chemicals were given by the ministry, but the companies are still testing those chemicals. Right? In some of the chemicals, the results are positive. In some of the chemical trials are going on. Universities are doing the trial. Agrochemical companies are doing the trial. What we have personally seen is, in most of the cases, the results are positive. The bioefficacy is much better as compared to the traditional spraying. And some of our farmers have also seen that they have tried reducing the dosage as well, and they have found the good results. So to summarize it, most of the chemicals, the case is positive.
Thank you. Now the given time is over, but before ending, we will take questions from the audience also. But before that, I would ask one line from each, how this technology can be better utilized at the adoption level, means what the best can be done so that it can be adopted at the farmers level. From Mr. Smith Shah first.
I believe the entire agrochemical pesticide industry and the drone industry and the government all need to work in a mission mode, and everyone needs to come together. And it is only demonstrations with the farmer and the exposure to the technology which will ensure that they are able to get convinced and they are able to sort of adopt it. So large-scale demonstrations will be one of the ways through which farmers will be able to see and witness the results and sort of adopt the technology. No amount of PR or media or all of that is going to make sense for the adoption part. That's what I personally feel.
Dr. Vijay Kumar.
Here I would like to appeal to the entire industry. I hope that industry is very much concerned with our farmers. Actually, of course, the industry may like to reduce their whatever they are producing, that means pesticide. Definitely, if it will be slowly, if it has been reduced, definitely it will be in the that means helpful for our nation as well as for the farmers. So basically, what I would like to raise the issue actually. You know that the pesticide application is mostly been done by the manually and by the knapsack sprayers, which are mostly been imported from the abroad. I will not name the country, but actually this the sprayers which are been coming are very of not that quality, which are not standard, and they do not have that much calibration. We can say that one are the nozzles are not that proper, so that's why the flow rate is very much high as compared to the the standard pesticide equipments. So here I would like to urge that we must promote our Indian this means farm sprayers. Secondly, I would like to suggest that unless and until we come to this drone technology, that will not be serve the purpose. Here also I would like to appeal that when we meet in the next summit, the poster which has been available at backside, the picture shown is there. It is of high volume STP sprayer. So next time we'll see, whenever summit will come, definitely we would like to replace this picture and we would like to have a drone on that one so that we can give more and more emphasis to our drone technology. Thank you very much.
Very good session. Definitely, I think Mr. Prashant would be taking these all notes. So,
you are on dot, sir. So I'm opening it up for Q&A. 2 questions, short questions. Just question, no comments. Anybody from this side? Yeah, please go ahead. काम नहीं कर रहा दूसरा दे दो
Meanwhile, the question is coming, but I would like to share with all the members sitting on the dais as well as from the audience also. Now the molecules, means the industry is already working day to day, spending a lot of money on the R&D. So earlier, what the myth or the perception was there, kgs were used for agrochemicals. Now the new molecules have come, their efficiency is more, these are being used in the very small quantity. So I think that can be used appropriately with the drones. So it has to be removed the myth that they are the molecules which are to be used in the tons or the kgs. So this is the one thing the industry is working continuously and spending a lot of money of R&D.
So please go
Yeah,
ahead.
my question was related to that only. Myself, Satyajit Singh from JU Agri Sciences. My question to Dr. Jitendra, that this drone is a technology to take the chemical to the crop. So it's understandable that for systemic pesticides it will be very useful and maybe some concern on the contact. But how it can be impact on the old and new technology, new molecules, old molecules, new molecules. That's I want.
Here I mean not the molecule. Here I am concerned with the formulation. The conventional formulation like vegetable powder, you are having the EC formulation, I talked about all those things. And as the moderator has suggested that active ingredient nowadays the 10 gram, 20 gram active ingredient is quite enough for the control of the pest. Okay. So similarly, the finer is the particle. That's why the drone application and the efficacy, I do agree that the technology will perfectly and certainly improve the farmer's income. But I talked about the new generation pesticide formulation. If I'm talking the microemulsion, the particle size of the formulation is very fine. Finer will the particle, then it will be more will the bioefficacy. This is the proven text. Similarly, if we're talking about the nanotechnology, nano formulations, this is the new era of that will further increase the efficacy. So here I mean that, and again I emphasize that because earlier technology fails because of the data, lack of the data. The time is being given to the industry. Industry should come with the perfect data, and with the perfect data, CIB should emphasize to have the label claim. If the particular formulation has been tested and generated the required data, then a label claim should be there that this particular formulation can be used for this purpose. Not any other formulation which is being tested, what the data is being submitted to the authority. Yeah.
I think there are no more questions. If there are any, do raise your hand. So thank you, sir.
Mr. Praveen, just
yeah.
a quick comment. So I would like to emphasize here on the economics part. So there are one very important thing that is called the cost of ownership, right? When I say cost of ownership, one is the fixed capital and the second is the second is the variable cost, right? Fixed cost is when a farmer or when an agri entrepreneur is purchasing the drone, right? So drone companies should work on reducing the cost of drones. It can be done by localizing the more and more value chain in India, right? And the second way of reducing the capex cost is the subsidies, which already are in the progress. And I mean, 120 CR has been already disbursed, and a lot of more subsidies are into the way, right? And the second most important cost is the variable cost, as Mr. Sanjeev rightly said, the cost of the batteries, right? Batteries cost is a challenge for every industry, be it drones, be it EV, electric vehicles, be it any other industry. It is a major challenge. So the drone companies should work heavily on the R&D of the batteries. Plus, the second important variable cost is the cost of transportation, right? So the innovation which is done by the biotech is the bike models, right? So the customer or the agri entrepreneur need not to purchase a vehicle for the transportation of drone. The transportation can be done on the bike. So here a farmer saves a lot of money. He saves a lot of variable cost in transporting the drone from one field to another field. You know, these are some of the important pillars by which the total cost of ownership can be reduced, so that it can be passed on to the farmer who is getting services from the drone, right? That's it.